Converted man here. Alright, wanted to make sure you're awake, because it's 7:30 a.m. when I'm recording this live. So yeah, if you're not awake after I screamed at you, maybe you're dead. If you're dead, please consult a doctor. Alright, so we're going to take a look at this video. Are we wrong about arguments for Christianity / God by faith and reason? I'm going to go ahead and say yes, you are wrong about arguments, and I'll explain why. He says he explores the idea that we hold arguments for God, Christianity to the wrong standard. That's right. William Lane Craig told you, you got to lower that standard. Just lower that standard all the way down to the ground. Because, well, I mean, if you're wrong, oh no, so bad. Anyways, the goal of these arguments should be to make Christianity plausible enough to inspire people to seek God. Not necessarily to prove it outright. I mean, why would you want an argument that proves outright that there's a particular version of God? No, just make it plausible. You know, oh come on, please look at these arguments. Maybe you'll think that it's possible, and then you'll go and do it. I mean, yeah, they're not really good arguments, but maybe they might work. It's just smacks of desperation. I have an idea. Rather than giving us any argument, because they all suck, I can tell you that much. Every single one of them I've ever heard or read has one or more logical fallacies, and in this video, this guy's gonna have logical fallacies. Of course he is. But how about this? Give us the evidence, not the argument, the evidence of the thing that you're speaking about. Show us the thing. Show us the God. Show us the miracle. Show us the supernatural. Demonstrably demonstrate that these things are even real in the first place. And then, that's it. We don't need an argument. We have the proof. Just provide the proof. And before you go, oh, but that's not how that works, because the supernatural isn't something that you can show because it's not natural, then don't talk about it. If you can't show it, if you cannot demonstrate it, then perhaps it's made up. Perhaps it's just something that's in your head. Something that we created. It's an object of the mind. It's not really real. It's as real as Jar Jar Binks. That's how real it is. It's like, hey, you think, yeah, hey, look, and we're gonna apply the same ideas that he uses in this video to anything and everything ridiculous that I can think of, just to prove a point. All right. All that being said, it's only been 4 minutes, and I haven't even started this video, which is 5 minutes and 13 seconds. So we're going to be here for, let me do my calculations, 5 days. Here we go.
Hi everyone, this is Faith and Reason, and I want to talk about why I think we look at arguments for the existence of God and for Christianity in the wrong way, and I think we hold them to the wrong standard. Let me explain. What do most people think the point of arguments for the existence of God is?
I'm not really interested. Well, I mean, we could do some sort of survey to find that out, but not really interested in what people think. I'm interested in how we should view any argument for anything at all. Now, an argument refers to a specific type of dialogue that you will find in formal and informal logic. Now, formalized logic is dealing with abstract variables and symbols. So you probably won't encounter that very often. You will, more than likely, encounter what's called informal logic, which is dealing with the words that we commonly use, the words we're using right now, as I'm speaking, all of this, what's called natural language, is being utilized to communicate ideas. And we put that into a formula, a list, and if each part of the list is correct, and then the next part of the list follows from the previous part of the list, we can then draw a conclusion from this list. And it is an algorithmic uh, way to see if the idea is something that is even remotely plausible or true. You have typically two premises and a conclusion. You can have more premises, but I highly recommend against it because you tend to run into problems the more premises you add. Nonetheless, you reduce your argument into a synthetic format. So you take the real life objects and ideas you want to speak of and you put them in the symbolic format, which is the formalized logic, and you make sure that the argument works there. Then you replace those symbolic letters with the things that you're speaking about in real life, and it should still work. Sometimes it doesn't because real life is weird. So, one example, very easy, simple example, would be a disjunctive syllogism argument where there are two choices, there are only two choices, they are real choices, and there's no other choice that can be made. There is a light, it is either on or off. That is the setup, that is the first premise. The condition is this or that. And then the second premise states a fact and says the light is off. Following that, then the conclusion must be that the light is not on. Or you can say the next premise, you could say the light is on, therefore it's not off. You could play around with the language a bit, and yes, wonderful. But you have a shortcut to this. If in real life you have a light, you can just look at the damn thing and to tell if it's on or off. Just by looking at the thing. So you don't need the argument at all. But yes, if it's true, then it's true. And if it's false, it's false. It's very simple. A more complicated argument would take the form of modus ponens. A very classical one is all men are mortal. Socrates is a man, therefore Socrates is mortal. So everything that belongs to this group exhibits this trait. This thing belongs in that group, therefore that thing exhibits this trait. Now you can go wrong with this if you're not careful. And of course there's modus tollens, which flips things around a bit, but nonetheless, you can get a valid and sound argument if you know what you're doing. And then of course there's hypothetical syllogisms, which start always, or should always start with, the first premise saying if. If this is true, then this follows from that. It is true. There you go. Then it's true. Okay. But with a hypothetical, it's considered the weakest form of argumentation because you just go, well, yeah, if, well, that's great. You got to prove the if part. So typically people strive to do a modus ponens and they try to make an argument for the thing, and using the idea of how logic functions, mechanically speaking, they attempt to argue for the position that they think is correct. A valid argument is one where the structure is correct, where you have premise, conclusion. You can have more than two, but you have to have at least two. You can't have just one. It wouldn't be valid. It would not be the correct format. A sound argument is one where the argument is not only valid, but the premises are all true. None of the premises have a logical fallacy in them. And then, if that's true, then you have a valid and sound argument, and the conclusion is great, and everything is hunky dory, wonderful. And so, if you have a valid and sound argument, then the conclusion, as far as we can tell, should be true in reality. The problem is, to get to the conclusion, you have to check with the premises against reality to see whether the premises are true or if they contain a logical fallacy. So you're going to have to learn the damn logical fallacies as well. And all of this is kind of complicated and a lot to remember, and not a lot of people are going to do it because it's effort and energy that you'd have to put into understanding those things. I want to encourage people to learn informal logic as best as they can, uh, because you need to be aware of how it works. All that is how we ought to view any argument. The purpose is essentially a shortcut. X is Z, Z is B, therefore X is B. Great, wonderful. It should not and cannot supplement evidence, because evidence is the thing that you're speaking of itself. I present to the bank my bank card. It is evidence that I have a bank card. They scan it using a computer, which sees if it's a legitimate card rather quickly. Their system pulls up my information, which is stored in their system, and then that is evidence enough for them to determine how much money I have to allow me to do whatever interaction I want with that money. I cannot go to a bank and say, either the bank is open or I don't have $10,000 that you're going to let me have right now. The bank is open, so I must have $10,000 that you're going to give me right now. I can't do that because, well, first of all, the argument's not valid or sound, but it doesn't matter. The argument's not evidence. It's not. I could tell them anything. I could give them any argument. Hey, yeah, I lost my bank card. Okay, well, do you have your ID? No, I don't have my ID, but I swear I have an account here. Okay, well, what's your name? Listen, either why would I lie to you? I mean, obviously I'm here. I'm not trying to pull anything funny. I don't want to go to jail. I'm not robbing the place. It's just I need $10,000, and I know I have it. And the thing is, if I did have it, that'd be really good for me. If I don't have it, then obviously I'm gonna go to jail. So obviously I don't want to go to jail. So I must have this money. Oh, well, that seems like a really good argument. Here's your $10,000. No, they're never going to do it. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter how well you make the argument. It's not going to happen because it's not evidence. You need evidence. That beats everything. That ends the conversation. Hey, look, on the top left of the screen, as I record this, you can see a red rectangle with a small white triangle in it. It is the YouTube logo. Okay, well, the evidence of that is that. That's it. We're done. We don't need an argument. But if you have an argument, then you're going to have a valid and sound argument. Otherwise, it's useless. And you cannot do anything more with it. You have to admit that it's broken, fix the argument. Apologists have used arguments that have existed for a long time. Almost every single one of the arguments has a response to it and has been shown to be invalid in multiple ways, either philosophically because of logical fallacies and or scientifically because they don't match with what we discovered to be true in reality. So, given that, you would think that they would come up with some different arguments. They have, but all the newer arguments are just basically reformatting of the old arguments with new fallacies. They haven't yet quite caught on that you cannot argue for something that is not demonstrated. That's the problem. So that's how we should view arguments, as what they are, a saving step perhaps, but not something to gain more confidence in, because a valid and sound argument would mean the confidence should be 100%, because the whole process of discovering if it's valid and sound means that the conclusion that's true. Then that's, you know because you already checked in with reality to find out if the premises are true.
Probably to prove that God exists. And if they accomplish that, then great. But often
No, they
people have
don't.
trouble believing in God based on arguments alone.
Yes, well, for a number of reasons. I don't even know what you mean by God. Now you're saying Christian God, so there's a specific version of God that you're referring to. But even that can be somewhat vague, because there's different varieties of the Christian God as well. So I find it hard to believe in any God, given that there's no empirical evidence or repeatable tests for any God at all, and given that all the arguments that I have seen and heard thus far contain one or more logical fallacies in them. So until you provide one of those three things, I don't believe that it's a thing other than an object of the mind that we have invented. We created gods, and we have changed what God is over time, and that we have trying to make arguments for it, because we can't show that it's a thing, because the thing that it is only in our brain. It isn't something that's out here with the rest of us in this reality. It shares a space adjacent to Jar Jar Binks.
Plus, for any argument for the existence of God, there will also be atheists that attempt refutations. And I'm not necessarily saying that these refutations succeed,
Not only that, but you have to contend with the fact that other religions will claim that their gods exist, sometimes using the identical arguments that you're using, which should be a weakening factor already when considering your argument. If your argument can be used for more than one god, then that's not a very good argument. The argument should ideally be specific towards a particular type of god, and the conclusion should be unavoidable, but you don't have anything that even remotely approaches that, because all your arguments are broken and suck.
but they try them nonetheless. So it can be hard for people to be convinced that God exists simply due to arguments when you have all these competing arguments aiming at proving different conclusions. But I think we're
See, but all we have to do is show that the argument makes God's existence less plausible, and
expecting too much from these arguments for the existence of God. What if these arguments, rather than proving that God exists, are simply meant to show that God's existence is likely enough that a person should logically search for him?
okay, likelihood cannot be determined by argumentation, because that's not what arguments do. You're talking about essentially probability, but you cannot assign probability to anything if you do not have proof that that thing is a thing in the first place. So, there are many examples, but I'll use something fairly mundane and simple. If you're alone in your house, your apartment complex, your dwelling, wherever, somewhere you're normally safe and secure and whatnot, and a door opens, apparently on its own, you might suspect a number of things about what caused the door to open. You might get up and investigate to try to determine what's going on. It might creep you out, give you some fear. But upon investigation, if you find that, well, there's no one there to have opened the door, you look, there's no room, there's no windows in that particular room. Perhaps it's a closet. It's a closet door. Let's just do that. There's no animal that could have opened the door that you see. Well, perhaps you simply failed to latch the door correctly, and perhaps it wasn't closed, and the house shifted, and so it opened, and so you close it, and you shake it, and you wiggle it, and you make sure that it's closed, and you go back to sitting down doing whatever you're doing, and behold, the door opens again. Ooh, spooky. Well, at this point, perhaps think about what other things could cause that, and at what point, though, do you go through a checklist of different potential things and then go, well, it's a ghost. Yep, it's a ghost. It's a ghost. It's gotta be a ghost. The likelihood that the door opening on its own, I mean, doors just don't open by themselves. Something made it open, and I don't know what that is, but it's not all these other things, so it's got to be a ghost. But I don't have proof of a ghost. I don't have proof that ghosts can open doors or that they would open a door. So I cannot get a higher percentage of ghosts existing through argumentation and speculation. I would need evidence that ghosts are a thing in the first place.
In other words, what if, with these arguments, we were simply trying to show that the probability that God exists is sufficiently high that it is irrational to not seek God, because by not seeking him, one is risking great peril because he could very well exist?
Okay, you might have noticed already. Great peril. Hmm. Great peril. You're risking great peril. Really? How do you know that? That is a claim that you have made. By not looking into the matter, you risk great peril. Ooh. Sounds like an appeal to a threat to me, which is the logical fallacy of ad ballum, which means appeal to the cudgel, appeal to the stick. It is an appeal to force. I hold you at gunpoint, demand you give me money, you give me money. Not because you want to, but because the threat is that I'm going to shoot you and you do not want to be shot. So the threat compels you to do the thing. It's not logical in the sense of it's not a reasonable way to argue for you to give me your money. I haven't done anything to earn the money. I have instead appealed to your fears to get you to comply, but that is not a valid way, logically speaking, to get to the truth of the matter. The truth of the matter is the money that you have is yours, and unless you owe me that money for services, and even if you did owe me that money for services, I shouldn't have to threaten you in any way, shape, or form. The ideal transaction would be I provide you the services, you give me the money. Now, obviously, it doesn't happen that way. In real life, we have courts that have been established to help us work out these matters when we can't work them out with each other. But ultimately, what if the court fails me? Well, then I pull the gun and go, look, give me the money. And I'm appealing to force to get that because everything else has failed. Still doesn't make it logical. You're going to do it, but only because you're being threatened. So why would any god threaten anybody with anything at all? Why would you threaten, as veiled as it is, great peril if we don't do this thing? That we are risking peril. You're going to have to now demonstrate that, in fact, we are risking something by not doing the thing. But then you're also going to have to show how that is not an appeal to fear, not an appeal to threat. You're going to have to show that the threat exists and you're merely warning us about it. bridge closed ahead. Don't keep going, or your car will fly off the bridge. The road has a big old barrier. There's a sign. There's lights. There's cop cars. There's warning. Look, stop, please. Don't go any further. The bridge is out. I can't see the bridge is out, but all the warning signs indicate I could get out of the car and approach and see if I could see the bridge is out. Perhaps I could go really slowly and see if the bridge is out, being very careful. Or I could just slam on the gas and find out. Well, that would be fairly foolish to find out because, well, I am ignoring all the signs that suggested it. But you have evidence that the great peril exists. The bridge is out. But the problem, of course, is deeper because the Christian God operates in a bizarre realm of fiction created by the people that created it over time, where God is essentially threatening you to believe in it, and if you don't believe in it, you get punishment for all time forever, because the greatest insult to God is that you didn't believe in it. Of course, believing it isn't enough to just believe. There's more to it than that, but certainly if you don't believe in it, you're absolutely screwed. Now, why would God do that? Well, it's a consequence. No, God created the consequence because God also created everything, which means God, in the Christian system, created an ad ballum. So your God is illogical, which means, well, it's not a logical being, so I can't trust it anyways. So I wouldn't know if I could, do anything to please an illogical being, or that I should even attempt to do so. In fact, I should do everything I could to avoid the illogical being that's demanding that I know that it exists, but not giving me any empirical evidence, repeatable tests, or valid and sound arguments. Just say, believe in me or else. Well, that seems rather psychopathic of it. It seems rather ridiculous and insane. If you don't love me, I will kill you. Oh, really? Wow. But it's not even that. It's not, if you don't love me, I will kill you. I won't just kill you, I'll just torture you forever. And you'll never die. Ha 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 ha. And it's not even that. It's if you don't know that I exist because you didn't bother to look for me in the right way, I will torture you for all time. That's not a very coherent God. So that's a logical fallacy there that you have embedded in this presentation. And I haven't even explained how wrong your thing is here, general evidence for Christianity. You don't even have evidence like the best you have. What is the best evidence that you have that any of this is true? General evidence. What the hell? There isn't general. There's just evidence. Personal pursuit is irrelevant. Personal experience also irrelevant. General plus experiential evidence. No idea what the hell you're talking about because again, evidence is just evidence. There isn't general evidence or experiential evidence. It's just evidence. Rational, justified belief. Well, if I see a thing, then that thing is a thing that I've probably seen, and I check to make sure that other people can also see the thing and describe it in a similar way that I can. And if that's the case, then I do think that we probably have a rationalized version of reality that we can go on, and that process is called science.
Now, of course, if someone does reason this way and finds that the arguments for the existence of the Christian God are compelling enough to warrant seeking him, and that person does seek him honestly, there are two possible outcomes. Number one, if God is real, the person will find him, because the God of the Bible promises to reveal himself to those who genuinely seek him. And the other possibility is that if God is not real, they will not find him. But really,
so I gotta stop again. You notice that genuinely part? The genuine? You must genuinely do this. Of course, Mormons do this. They come, they try to get you to pray uh, to their God and feel this warmth in your heart, and that's God, and that's our God. And if you pray and you feel that, then that's our God. Then give us a call when that happens. And you've been prompted to expect a certain result. This is playing upon human psychology. You've been prompted to look for something and prompted to feel a certain way, and that if you do feel a certain way, that means that they're right. Every religion does this. Every single religion does this. Just a, well, minor asterisk. Religions involving God pretty much do this. If you pursue the lobsterist, which is on my about page, read all 4 lobsterists, and you do so genuinely, then you'll come to the conclusion that lobsterist is true, and that Laud is the actual creator of the universe and not your God. It is actually the lobster original deity. But if you're not genuine, well, then you won't find it because you just weren't genuine enough. So this genuine thing allows you a goal posting maneuver, which is a logical fallacy, moving the goalpost. The goalpost is here. You have to run 20 yards. Now, actually, we move the goalpost. Now you have to run 30 yards. You have to run 50 yards, 100. You have to keep moving the goalpost because no matter how much I can say I genuinely tried, you can always claim that I wasn't actually genuine. And I have no way to prove how genuine I was, and you have no way to prove how genuine I wasn't. So there's nothing here. I know internally that I've been genuine in the pursuit. You could never know that, but it does set up a potential way out for you to cognitively reason with yourself that if I don't find your version of God, it must have been because I wasn't genuine enough.
Even if hypothetically speaking, God is not real, what has that person lost by seeking after him?
It's a really easy question to answer. Money, energy, time. So this is why I'm including my teapot challenge, which I challenge you to take. I dare you to take my teapot challenge. And I put it in the description of this video. I am going to make an extraordinary claim right now. Okay? You can gain a wish if you try this. What do you have to lose? Why would I make up something so ridiculous, right? And the wish is, it's going to be granted the way you want. It's not going to be like a genie. It's not going to be like, I want to have all the money in the world. And it's like, now money is worth nothing. Or, no, it's like grants you it in a way that gives you what you actually are desiring, not like some trick. It's not a trick wish, okay? Nothing bad's going to happen, all right? So it's a genuine wish. You can wish for world peace and everybody will get along with each other. Whatever. Okay. You only get one wish. You can't wish for more wishes. Well, actually, you know what? You can't. Fine, go ahead. You can wish for as many wishes. I don't care. Do whatever you want with the wish. Alright, but you can get at least one wish granted if you do this. What do you have to lose? So here's what you have to do. Because, there is a process. You have to film yourself outside in white underpants with red heart shapes on them. No shirts, socks, shoes, just the underpants. That does mean if you're a woman, you have to be shirtless, but it's okay. You're emailing it to me. You can trust me. Then you have to spin around in a circle counterclockwise as you sing the song. I'm a little teapot, short and stout. Here is my handle, here is my spout. When I get all steamed up, hear me shout. Tip me over and pour me out. Also, if you do the teapot dance, it should enhance the power of that song. And if you have to send me the recording of you doing that. What do you have to lose? If I'm right, you gain this wish. What do you have to lose? Are you gonna do it, face, flash, and reason? Are you going to do my teapot challenge? If not, why not? What do you have to lose?
Nothing. By seeking God with sincere intentions, asking God to reveal himself, reading the Bible, reading the work of great Christian thinkers, the seeker has lost nothing. And
Except for time, energy, and possibly money. And so yeah, that's a value. That's something. Have you done that with every single religion that exists that we know about? Obviously, can't deal with the ones we don't know about. Have you genuinely pursued Zeus and read all the various different arguments about Zeus, prayed to Zeus, considered Zeus, read what great thinkers have to say about Zeus? Have you done that? No? Why not? I mean, what do you have to lose? Have you done that with Buddha? Have you done it with Shiva the Destroyer? Have you done it with Vadavagiga? Have you done it with the Guru? Have you done it with more, Allah? Have you done it with, have you done it with Laud, the lobsterist, the lobster original deity mentioned in the lobster, well, not just mentioned in the lobsterist, but proven in the lobsterist books? Have you done that? No. No, I know you haven't. Don't even, it's a redundant question. I know you haven't done it for every religion. I doubt you've done it with one other religion other than your own, and I don't think you did it that much with your own religion. I don't have any reason to do that. Now you think that your argument is going to somehow compel me to maybe look into the matter and spend my time and energy doing so. But if you had a valid and sound argument, I wouldn't even need to. I'd be like, okay, that stuff is true then. All right. I wouldn't even need to look at all of it. It's a lot of homework. But it's because you don't understand how arguments work that you're suggesting all this homework. Have you done this? Have you done it for atheism? Have you read all the atheist books and the thinkers, etc.? No. Why? Because that's not how we do things as humans. We have time and energy and interests that are unique and personal to us that we're interested in. Now, I am very interested in the topic of beliefs. People hold weird beliefs lots of times. Some people hold really wild and crazy beliefs that are not true, but they really think that they are true and they defend those beliefs, and you're among those. And you're defending this belief with really bad arguments, which is what I notice that people with bad beliefs tend to do. They tend to have really bad arguments. And they tend to have non-evidence for their arguments. They have something that they think is evidence, but when critically examined, you find out nope, there's a nothing burger there. You have to look at it this way, and then you do this, but I can't explain how you do this, and then that if you cross your eyes, then you can see that I'm right, and just I can't prove it really beyond that. Of course, yes, yeah, you don't have any proof of it. You just have your assertions, which have been examined and found to be not true. But if you want to believe it's true, well, then you'll find reasons to believe it's true. But none of your arguments can get me to that place of even thinking that it might be true, because all your arguments suck.
learned a lot, even if God does not exist.
Of course, and this also assumes that I haven't already done this. And the majority, well, I say it, but I should be careful. As far as I know, the majority of deconverts well, in America, were Christian. Christianity is the number one religion in America, and deconverted people in America would then happen to be Christian. So many of them have already done this. They've already looked at the books and studied these things. They've already gone through this process, and they left because it wasn't real. They left because they discovered it wasn't true. They already did everything you're talking about. So you're assuming that the person hasn't already done all this stuff and found out that it wasn't really true. I already myself have done this stuff. You can read about it in my book, Caught Between an Infinite Hope and Finite Despair, where I lay out that, yeah, I spent a lot of time and energy believing this stuff, and I had lots of good times with good people that believe this stuff. I have nothing bad to say about any of it, thankfully. I have heard horror stories, of course, from others, and those are terrible and horrible. Uh, but I found out that it wasn't true, and that's why I stopped believing. So, you're acting as if the person hasn't already done this, and that assumes a lot.
So there is no risk there.
Yes,
In
there is.
conclusion, I think we hold arguments for Christianity and for God to the wrong standard.
Well, there's only one standard that you should hold every single argument to, no matter what that argument is for or about. Is the argument valid and sound? That's it. That's the only consideration. Doesn't matter who made it, what group made it, when it was made, where it was made, how it was made, none of that matters. The only thing that matters is the argument. And is it valid and sound? That's it. Bernard Russell, quoting him, what are the facts? And what is the truth that those facts bear out? That's all that matters. There is no scale, there is no probability. You either have a valid and sound argument or you don't, and you should go back to the drawing board and fix your broken argument. And until you do, I don't care. I'm not interested. Try harder. This thing that you have on your screen is not even an argument, by the way. And so far, I haven't heard any argument at all from you, but I suspect they'd be all the arguments I've already heard: cosmological, ontological, moral argument, blah, blah. None of them work. They all have fallacies, every single one of them. The standard that I hold is the exact same standard I have for every single argument, which is it valid and sound? Your arguments are not. You want to have a different standard other than valid and sound, then you don't care about logic, and then I'm done. We're done. There's no point here. Then we're just going blah, 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 at each other. We're using nothing if we're not using logic and reason. Emotional argumentation will not benefit us in this case, because we're trying to figure out how to get to what is true. And emotions can be of benefit to recognize in others, and to see if perhaps we're going in error if we're trying to correct somebody or educate somebody. But if we're doing it in the wrong way and they're trying to tell us that, we can ignore that. But that's not a good idea. We can listen to them and say, oh, okay, I understand where you're coming from. Let me go about this a different way. That way we maintain the friendship if we have one. I'm assuming we have one, and But there's times that you have to temper your reason and logic with emotion. But more than often we have to temper emotion with reason and logic. But you don't. But you know you need to first understand what it is you're talking about, which you clearly don't.
Maybe we shouldn't demand that these arguments convince us.
No, actually, that's exactly what you should do. I don't know what to tell you guys, girls and robots out there. Yeah, this argument should convince you. I mean, why would you think an argument would convince you? That's just silly. Ah!
Maybe we should just see whether these arguments show that God's existence is a reasonable possibility.
No, because that's not how it works. That's not how anything works. It's like, isn't a reasonable possibility? But you just said the argument doesn't convince you. So now it's trying to convince you that it's a reasonable possibility. So this is a new attempt at a new argument. The reasonable possibility that the Christian God exists. I'd love to see that in a syllogistic format. Let me see that video. I'll analyze that for logical fallacies. That will be fun.
And if these arguments do show that, and we seek God because of that, these arguments have succeeded in their intended purpose, or certainly at least in a very useful and helpful purpose. And of course, if one does seek God and finds him, it is perfectly rational for them to believe in God based on their inductive evidence of their own experience with him. Thus, the basis of one's conviction that God does exist can still be rooted in rationality, even if traditional arguments aren't quite compelling enough for many people to believe based on those arguments alone. Hey guys, I'm just in the editing process right now, and I just forgot to say something. People claim to have experiences with all kinds of spiritual traditions and religions, not just Christianity, right? So why should the Christian believe that their experience is more important than the experience of a person with a different spiritual
Hey, you
belief?
recognize
This is actually a
the
really good
problem.
question, and I think the answer is this. I think that our experiences should be considered in light of the other evidence. I think, and I am prepared to defend and will continue to defend on this channel, that the evidence for Christianity is far, far better than the evidence for any other religion or spiritual belief.
Then how about you just give us that evidence rather than any argument at all? Just give me the evidence. Just not general evidence, because that like I said, that's not a thing. You just have evidence. Okay, there's no general evidence. And I don't care a damn thing about your personal whatever. That's not even a thing. Don't even bother mentioning that. Just give me the evidence. What do you got? What do you got? Do you got anything? Let's find out. I guarantee. Let's see. Any evidence. Claims or evidence. Oh, fuck me. No! 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 I could have saved myself 50 minutes just by looking at his channel. Oh my god. Fuck hell. He's got a video that says claims are evidence. What the fuck? Are you fucking kidding? I just did a video. Like, when did let's see, when did I do that? Oh, here it is. 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago. It hurts. It hurts me. 3 weeks ago. Here it is. What screen am I trying to even look at anymore? Arguments are still not evidence. Claims are not evidence. Claims are claims. You don't know what the fuck evidence is. Fuck you. This guy's stupid. I'm done. He's that he's stupid, by the way, has no bearing on his arguments. His argument he doesn't even have in this video, certainly. But also it appears that there's a deeper problem, and the deeper problem is he thinks claims are evidence when they're not. Ah! Ah! See, then I turned off my own fucking stream because I'm so irritated that he thinks claims are evidence that I closed my own window. That's how angry I got about him thinking that claims are evidence, but that's not even the video that I'm trying to cover. Ah! Why? Why? I just did it 3 weeks ago, and it's not the only time I've done that topic. I've done this topic already. Oh, it hurts. Oh, my brain. Alright. Sorry. Alright. Alright. Okay. Anyways, so where was I? Now, yes. Turning this, how long was this video? 5-minute video into a 50-minute video. Only Deconverted Man could do that. You're watching Deconverted Man. I take short videos and I make them long. Yay.
So if I had an experience that seemed to weigh in favor of a religion that, let's say, was logically incoherent, because I think such religions definitely do exist, I would be very hesitant to believe that, even if I was agnostic. But if someone has an experience which is consistent with Christianity, and therefore I would argue the rest of the evidence as well,
that you haven't or and do not present because you think claims are evidence when they're not. So you just think every claim is evidence. So yeah, sure. The lobsterist. Okay, there's more evidence for the lobsterist than there is Christianity. That's a claim, so that's evidence. In fact, every single claim in the lobsterist is evidence. So therefore, there's more evidence in the lobsterist because there's 4 different books of the lobsterist. There's only 2 books of the Bible. Well, okay, there's 55 books of the Bible, but it's just one book, the Bible. You know, it's just a bunch of books, but none of it's evidence. It's all claims. But you think claim? Okay, I'm just really. I can't believe he thinks that. It's so stupid.
I think that experience can safely be taken seriously because it seems to be
It's so the only experience that counts is the one of my religion, cause it's the real. All the other religions, that's just silly. But let's say pre-Christianity, before this was known. Okay, let's just go back a few, not 1,000 years, maybe. You know, let's just go back 1,000 years or so, maybe even less, depending on where you are. And you have an experience, and all the evidence that you're aware of is about the Egyptian cat god, whatever the bleep its name is. Cat god. What the bleep is it called? I don't know. What is it? Fija. Oh, the Norse god Fija. Yeah, there we go. That's good enough. Let's go with that one. The Norse god, uh, goddess Fija. So this is the only god that you know about. That's you've heard about it. You grew up learning about it. You've been surrounded by the culture of this thing in the Norse, and you've never heard anything about this Christ. This is the goddess that you think exists, and you have an experience of it, and so that's all you know. Then they would say, well, I have all this evidence that beats out all the other things, so my experience must be true. But that's not how we figure out if stuff is. That's not. That doesn't. Ah! It broken, and I can't explain how broken of the words in the of bad Norse god Phaja, Phraja, whatever.
be more compatible with reality and doesn't entail any contradictions. So what I'm saying here is if you're like on the edge, if you're looking at the evidence for Christianity, you're saying, this evidence could be pretty good. Maybe you're looking at Christianity
well, there isn't any evidence, so
saying, you know what, this is logically coherent,
that's
right?
not true
Based
either.
on looking at the external evidence.
What external
you can
evidence?
Then add to that by seeking God your experience. So this is kind of designed, what I'm saying here, to push you over the edge, if you will. If you're
Don't push me, cause I'm close to the edge. I'm trying to hold on to this ledge. There's a song like that, isn't there? Did I make that up? All the evidence in my head says that I made that, so it must be my song.
You're like, maybe almost there, but just no.
And this is the part of the video where he starts rambling incoherently and slowly loses his mind, right? That's the part of the video I'm in right now. So I'm guessing that's what he's doing now. He's just saying nothing. Okay.
Not quite convinced. I'm
Uh-huh.
kind of saying that Christianity, you have good external evidence,
You
or at
don't.
least definitely reasonable external evidence
No.
that would
What is
match with
that?
your experience. So that would
No.
make your
What?
experience more trustworthy. Whereas
No.
if it was a different spiritual tradition,
Yeah.
I would say you might have an experience,
Uh-huh.
but the lack of the same level of external evidence
Which
would
you don't
make
have.
that
Yeah.
experience more
Right.
dubious.
Yeah. Right. But
Anyway,
you.
thanks for watching. If you liked the
Okay.
video, you can share,
Oh, okay.
subscribe,
We're
and you can
done.
comment what
Yeah.
you think
All right.
below.
All right.
All the
I did.
best.
Yeah. Take my. Oh, that's it. Okay. Wow, that's just ended. Take my teapot challenge. I fucking dare you. Okay, I started swearing now. I think if he was watching this video, or if he did watch this video, he might stop because I swore or something. You know. But what kind of mad, insane person would listen to a 56-minute video response to their 5-minute video? Hey, if he did, all right. But I don't think he will. I don't know if any of you did. A lot of you came in mid rant, not even mid rant, towards now. I don't know when you came in. I see you guys, girls and robots, in chat over there chatting away, talking about stuff that may or may not be related to this video. If my past experiences or anything to go on, I suspect that it's not related to this video because you guys like to have your own conversations about something else completely unrelated to the content that I'm discussing. Why? I don't know. It's what we do. We're crazy. And things happen. Somebody is making a claim. You have to refute that claim. You're trying to listen to me, but you're trying to explain to them that they're wrong. It's difficult. I understand. But hey, look, I'll say what I say at the end of these stupid things. I don't know if this was stupid or not. Hopefully it wasn't stupid. Hopefully it was somewhat educational, interesting, or entertaining. And I will say leave a comment. Now, most of you won't because I don't know. I don't know why you don't. You don't do it. Maybe you enjoy that I beg you to do it. And you're like, and you don't do it. And I don't know. Okay, but I'm doing the YouTuber thing, even though I don't really care. But I kind of care. I want the attention. I need it. I need the attention. Just kidding. I just want attention. All right. So this was this. So there's a so okay to recap. There is no levels to argumentation. There is no general evidence. There's just evidence. That's it. There's not levels of evidence. There's not kinds of evidence. There's just evidence. Let's just make it simple, okay? There's no need to complicate these words further and if we want to make an artificial language or then that might be a whole different discussion, but right now we have the word evidence and we don't need to make it anything more than what it generally means. uh, and the fact is that this we already know that this guy has no idea what the fuck he's talking about in that because we saw that he has another video that I'm gonna have to cover now. I have to cover it. I have no choice. I have zero choice. I have to cover that video. You thought this video was long? Oh no. Now that video, I think I'm gonna do an edited video instead of a live video, and then I can have the logical fallacy counter at the bottom that I haven't had in a while. I really miss that thing, and it wants to come back. It keeps telling me to let it come back, and I'm like, look, I haven't. I haven't been able to use you because nobody's even trying to do arguments anymore. There's just complaining that we don't have arguments, and that's all I've seen lately and then some people just present stuff like this that's not even an argument. So there's what, two fallacies indicated in this video that he had an appeal to a threat, a vaguely veiled, if you don't look for God, you're risking great peril. What was I trying to do? I was trying to recap, then I went off on a tangent. uh Okay, so the recap. So there's only one way that we should view any argument at all, which is it valid and sound? That's one. Two, there's only one type. There's only evidence, only one type of evidence, and that's just the available body of facts or information indicating whether belief or proposition is true or valid. That's it. That's what that word is. We don't need to get more complicated than that. Done. Okay. You don't have either of those. You cannot argue to make something more probable that you have that you haven't proven is even a thing yet. Um so your this guy's idea of what arguments are and how we should look at them is completely opposite of what we do in informal logic. So that's a problem. If there's a God, I don't know, but I don't think it's his version of God, given the fact that he never presented us with any evidence at all in this video. So judging just by this video, in fact, you would think that that's the only video you would need to make. You wouldn't need to make a video talking about the arguments. You would just make the video with the evidence in it. You would just say, here's the evidence. Here you go. That's it. You would just present that. That's all you would have to do. And that would be it. Oopsie, what the bleep did I just do there? I don't know. Okay, so that's all we've got. Um Thanks for listening and watching and being a lobster if you are one. Uh if you are a lobsterist, of course, thank you for that. Doesn't help me at all, but it's funny. Um like, comment, subscribe, share. Um, I don't know what else. Buy my book if you haven't. Read my book. Eat my book if you want to. Um, that's all, I suppose. I'll look at chat. Yeah, stuff happened over there. I can't mention all of that. Lots of stuff happened. Yeah, Richard Madison doing his own thing over in. I don't know what's going on over there. All right. Thanks, guys, girls, and robots. Hey, I had a thing with Richard on my channel once, so a couple different times. So you can check those videos out if you haven't seen them yet. That's it for now. My brain is done, and I hit the hour mark on a 5-minute video. New personal record achieved. Yeah, I, I, uh, yeah, that, yeah, lobsters. Lobsters. That's it. Lobsters. I don't know why I'm still here. Just looking at chat now. Yeah. Yes, I'll spoil it for you, Thin Box Dictator. Richard Madison believes that David and Goliath is actually a coded message about the solar system. His argument for this is if you translate the words from Hebrew into English, you get certain words that then if you look at those words in a certain way that he doesn't explain how, you can get that to look like that it matches the solar system. The system is unrepeatable in full. Nobody can duplicate the system. The methodology doesn't exist. You have to be granted it via special revelation from future aliens that are humans that came back from the future to now to tell us about it in the past, but did so in a way that it would be coded in the Bible because that made sense somehow. And they told him because reasons. Thanks for watching.